Hey, this is Mazzy, and I wanted to do a small tribute to an important photographer and iconic character in the history of the Beatles. Astrid Kirchherr just passed away. This is May 15th, 2020. Astrid Kirchherr was an artist, a photographer who lived in Hamburg, and the story goes Astrid and Klaus Voormann were hanging out together in Hamburg in the late 50s, around 1960, and were breaking up apparently, or had a fight. And Klaus Voormann went to the Reeperbahn and stopped in and saw the Beatles, kind of on a fluke, saw the Beatles playing and just loved what he saw. Went and brought two of his friends. Klaus brought Jürgen Vollmer, who was an artist photographer, and his girlfriend, Astrid Kirchherr. And she started photographing the Beatles, photographed their early years during their Hamburg Days, became friends with them. All three of the German artist types became friends with her. They were really into the bohemian lifestyle, which is not what the Beatles are really into. Very European. In fact, the Beatle haircut came from her cutting George's hair, and then actually Stuart Sutcliffe's hair, and then Astrid and Sue became involved, and they were engaged before, up until Stuart Sutcliffe passed in 1962. So this is a little tribute to the great art and photography of Astrid Kirchherr. So while we're hearing, I'm playing the soundtrack to the film Backbeat. Backbeat basically tells the story of the Beatles, young Beatles in Germany in 1960, and how they met Astrid and Jürgen and Klaus. Companion pieces of the score and songs from Backbeat. Kind of interesting movie. It works to a point. It's a great overview to tell you the story. I have several books that are Genesis books. Genesis is an English company that does limited edition of art books, and there's a whole segment, the rock and roll segment, and I happen to collect all the Beatles related books. So first I'm going to show this book, Liverpool Days, and Golden Dreams. It's a combination of work by Max Scheller and Astrid Kirchherr, and it's photographs that they took in Liverpool. It's a 2-volume clamshell case set. One volume is Liverpool Days, and this is the work of Astrid. Signed by them. Again, these are both pictures by the two of them, Max Scheller and Astrid Kirchherr. And then the other volume, Golden Dreams. Now, this is the main headlining affair, although there's one other book I'm going to show you. This is When We Was Fab, and these are the photographs of Astrid Kirchherr. Beautiful clamshell box, and if you know about art photography, when you're handling prints, it actually comes with, appropriate for this day and age, but when you're handling fiber-based prints, a lot of times if you go to a collector, a dealer or an art gallery that's showing you the prints, they require you to put these on so the oils of your finger do not get onto the prints. For Norman, signed by Astrid Kirchherr, with a print of George Harrison Astrid took. And this is a folio, When We Was Fab, leather bound, the work of Astrid Kirchherr. John Lennon at Hamburg Fairgrounds. One of the great pictures she took of Stuart Sutcliffe. I actually have a book, an art book of the work of Stuart. It's called Stuart, it's a Genesis book, and it's beautiful artwork he did, beautiful paintings he did. Seek out her work, because it's just gorgeous. I mean, she definitely fell in love with Stu. She started cutting the hair like they did in France. The Beatles were really taken by the bohemian lifestyle of Astrid and just fell in love. This is a picture of a young Klaus Voormann that Astrid photographed. So that gives you an idea from this book. Gorgeous book, one of my all-time favorite books on or about related to the Beatles. When We Was Fab. Can you imagine being 18, 19, 20 years old in Hamburg, seeing the Beatles and the Reeperbahn in the Kaiser Keller, and then later the Star Club. And the last thing I'm going to just show you this book, Hamburg Days, and it's just a lot of photographs taken in Hamburg, not exclusively of the Beatles, but it's a folio of this wonderful work in Hamburg from Astrid Kirchherr, and then illustrations of Klaus Voormann. It's a young Astrid. I've been to the Reeperbahn, and it's such a wild area. You kind of imagine these, young 18, 19-year-olds playing there, and you can see why they would play there sometimes 9, 10, 12 hours a day and into the evening. And they were taking their prellies and their uppers and things just to keep them up and keep them playing. But they really honed their skills, and they really got to be a tight young band. So this is such an important part of their career. The other version, which doesn't really pertain to this, but the other selection in this same box, are illustrations, paintings, by Klaus Voormann. And if you don't know this, you should. Klaus Voormann is the artist who did the cover of Revolver, the Beatles' Revolver. And he's also a bass player playing with pretty much all the Beatles at one point or another. With the Plastic Ono band with John Lennon on the first album, and played with Ringo and George Harrison on many of his things. So great painter, great artist, illustrator, as well as a bass player. Played with Manfred Mann as well. So this is just a short tribute to Astrid Kirchherr. Rest in peace, my dear. You took some amazing photographs. You touched a lot of our hearts visually, and with the love you had for the Beatles, and especially Stuart Sutcliffe. So Mazzy loves you, and thanks for watching, and take care, everyone.